Okay, it's a few days later. Before I put the clutch on, if you read the very end of my last video, is like I said, there's a little change of plans before I go to doing the sealing up the transmission between the transfer case and the transmission. I want to go ahead and get the clutch on, that way I can get everything off that table I had on the sawhorses and have some room, because I'm going to need some assistance in picking that up. The transfer case is heavier than I thought it would be. I knew it would be heavy, but I can't budge it. I haven't Loctited these flywheel bolts yet. So, I bought some Loctite, and I'm going to do each one of these. They say they'll leak if you don't put something on them. Oil comes through the crank. I'm not sure if I believe that or not. Just something I read in some forums. But thought it'd be a good idea to Loctite them. You know, they only recommend like 47 foot-pounds of torque. Some people seem to think it felt like a lot. I was afraid it was going to break the bolts. But I don't know. Doesn't feel very tight to me. I may get braver and go a little tighter. But I need to mark each one of those, because I'm not going to go around like this. I'm going to do like a torque sequence. So it's just one. I may go back and tighten them up a little more. That was 45. They say 47. I'm going to go like 60. So I'm going to do all them. I'm not going to film it all. Just want to show you that you should Loctite those. I found the right torque specs. The first specs I gave you, which was 47 foot-pounds, I looked up online, and what that number is, that is for the secondary flywheel to primary flywheel. We don't have that set up no more. Remember the two-piece flywheel I showed you in a previous video? Well, that's what that was. You have the primary flywheel, which bolts to the crank. Then there's a secondary flywheel that bolts on top of the primary, and it's smaller bolts, and that's where your 47 foot-pounds is. These are 89, and see, I looked that up online, and I finally dug out this manual, if you can see it. I ordered this from Ford way back when I first bought this truck, because I had some cam sensor issues, and I didn't know much about working on these power strokes, and so I went to Ford, and someone recommended that I ask them if I could get their shop manual. This thing here, this is just part of it. This book here, the smaller book, came with it. It was all bought together. That is on just the diesel. I mean, I got my torque specs right here, and as you can see, let's see if I can find it. Second, if you can see that, I don't know, I know it's kind of dark under here, but right there it says secondary flywheel to primary, which is 47 foot-pounds, which is this book here. And then you got your primary flywheel. Let's see, where did it show the 89 foot-pounds for the other one? Bear with me, I'll find it. There we go. And it is right here. You got, it just says flywheel mounting bolts, 89 foot-pounds, which would have to be these bolts right here. I'm going to play it safe, and we'll start at 75. And then we'll go around again, which I got to stick something in this thing. I know it's going to turn on me. None of these. Yeah, that goes all the way through. I'm going to find something to stick through this so I can hold this flywheel still. Okay, I just got a little Allen wrench stuck in that bolt hole right there. We'll run a tap through it and make sure it doesn't mess up any threads. But here's 70 foot-pounds. Nothing scary there. Some of the guys in some forums I was reading was acting like they were afraid they was going to shear the bolts off, but they were talking about those little secondary bolts. Okay, I think that's all of them. I'm going to repeat the process at 80 foot-pounds. Hopefully nothing will break. I'll probably go 85. They recommend 89. They're all torqued down. No bolts broke, so that's a good thing. Now we're going to drive our new pilot bearing in here. It's not a super tight press fit, I don't think. But I'm just going to take a socket, rubber mallet. Got to get it straight. Tighter than I thought. Just make sure that this opening doesn't hit the actual inner bearing part, like from there to there. Don't worry, I'm using an impact socket. I wonder how many people comment, that's not what an impact socket is for. Okay, that's in there flush. It's got a little flange right there. We'll take a little bit of bearing grease so that no one will accuse me of putting it together dry like they did on my 460. One guy actually said that I assembled it with no assembly lube, and I'm pretty sure that he was watching me plastic gauge the main bearings. And when you check bearing clearances, you got to check it dry, because oil will affect the reading of the plastic gauge. I'm sure it will. It's got to. So there's that. Now I'm going to make sure my clutch plate, the spline on the plate, matches the transmission. It should, but it would be a good idea to check that before I put it on the truck and try to put this transmission up in here. See if I can do this one-handed. I'm going to roll the jack back a little bit. Yes, I'm touching this with dirty hands. They're not that dirty. I will clean it. Promise. Everything is so hard to do one-handed. There we go. Perfect. Now, I'm going to clean the flour off with some clean towels and some lacquer thinner or rubbing alcohol. Some people use rubbing alcohol. Lacquer thinner will work too, because there's no oil in it. We'll do that. I got to find my flywheel bolts, or not my flywheel bolts, my pressure plate bolts. Get them all cleaned up. I will clean that plate off too, get the oil off of it, clean that disc, and we'll stick that together. Let's do a test run here. Oh, that's kind of heavy. Make sure, before I put the disc under it, just make sure that pressure plate does, or yeah, this does line up. I do like those dowel pins. Yeah, looks like, don't worry, we're not putting it on for the last time. But yeah, looks like everything lines up. Alright, so we're going to use a clutch aligning tool here. I've already test fitted the big heavy pressure plate just to make sure it does fit. But I got my clutch alignment tool right here, goes in there, and that snub goes in the pilot bearing hole. And what we do is stick that in there like that. That holds that in place for me. I hope it kind of does. And now, hopefully, this will go on, and I believe it's going to. And see this this clutch kit with this flywheel, one thing I really like about it is it's got dowel pins. Got two of them. Yeah, just two of them. I think you could orient it any way and it wouldn't matter. They'd all line up. But yeah, we'll leave that clutch aligning tool in there until we tighten this up. Now, just got 2 of them started here, and okay, I got an extension right here, and I will torque them. They torque to, the book says 24 foot-pounds. I'm just going to get all these started, put a little bit of Loctite. Yeah, I'm using red. Some people might not recommend it. Oh no, you'll never ever get them out again. Yes, I will. Of course I will. Hopefully I won't have to. Okay. Not going to tighten it all the way down yet. See if I can torque these down. At first it kind of concerned me. It felt like it was taking a lot too much, way too much effort to depress this, but once you get it started, you kind of go around in a torque sequence. It gets better. Okay, we're going to try 25 foot-pounds here. Yeah, not bad. Pretty much already there. That one wasn't. Pretty close to it though. It's about what it... Now that one has a little ways to go. We're going to lay under this with a flashlight and make sure all these mounting flanges are flush with the flywheel. That's it. I could use a shorter extension, but maybe I don't need one. I got all these adapters on here. No, I don't need one. Probably be more accurate without all those on there too. Now I had to run a tap through this flywheel. I don't know what the bolts are an 8mm head, but it's a 5/16 18 thread, and I don't know if they just if there's just a lot of dirt in the hose or dust from when the flywheel was machined, but I just ended up running the 5/16 18 tap through it so that my original bolts would work. I was kind of concerned that they put some weird metric thread. My metric tap and die set, tried all the taps that I had, and I just could not find anything that fit it. So I just ran a 5/16 18 tap through it. They're taking the recommended amount of torque, plus we got Loctite on it. Should be okay. I'll torque. Let's see if this will come out. Yep, comes out kind of easy. Okay, so clutch is in. Now we got to get that big heavy transfer case off.